correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPG, the podcast where me and my friend Steve try and help you get the most out of your role-playing game experience.
Welcome back to Me and Steve Talk RPGs. I'm here with my friend Steve.
Hello, Steve.
And we're going to talk some RPGs. But before that, we're going to talk about court games.
Yes, the Court Games, Court Games is actually a family of podcasts here on the D20 Radio Network. Actually consists of three separate podcasts, one being, it's called Court Games, which is about the Legends of the Five, all about Legend of the Five Rings gaming. They talk about the RPG, some about the card game, lore, etc. Then bits of the same crew are also involved in an actual play called Fortune and Strife, and they have a second actual play called Crimson Gold Agonies. And for the life of me, I can't remember which one is which, but I know one is done much more as an audio drama, and the other is done with a lot of the dice rolls and table talk, etc., left in more as a game demo. So, like I said, there'll be links to all this down in the show notes if you want to check it out. They're all, based around Legend of the Five Rings, Court Games, Fortune and Strife, and Crimson Gold Agonies. They're cool. Check them out. Also, just, check out d20radio.com. There's a blog. There's links to us, a whole bunch of other cool podcasts, the Court Games people and everything else. So
yeah, lots of cool stuff happening over there. Well, we have a guest on this week, so why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest back onto the podcast?
Yes, it is a returning guest. We are bringing back someone you've heard before. He was previously on to talk about the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo with us the first time we talked with them. But this week we've brought him back to talk about what it's like to run a game store, because he does that. So welcome to the show, Alex.
Happy to be here. Good to talk to you guys again. It's nice to be back. I've had a chance to listen to some of the show since my initial appearance, and you guys are awesome. So I'm really glad to be here.
Well, I enjoyed just coming up and hanging out at your shop for hours on Friday nights and keeping you from getting anything done, or Saturday nights, whichever.
I would fail to do work on my own anyway, so it works out perfectly.
But yeah, I thought, we talk with a lot of creators, a lot of designers, and I felt like, it might be a neat thing to get a take, and you and I have had some, conversations just between us about a little more of the store owner side of things, what it's like to navigate, when you've got big players and little independent developers and everything in between in such a niche industry. And to be fair, your shop is probably not what most people think of when they think of a traditional friendly local game store. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Actually, that is, you kind of hit the nail on the head. That's almost a guiding ethos that I've had since I started. It would be very easy to do the part and parcel thing, right? Like you could always do what everyone else does when it comes to the local game stores. We actually started as a video game store. And so that's still kind of our bread and butter business, but we are in an area that craves tabletop of all kinds. So we started bringing that in, and I'm a lifelong tabletop player, so that felt like a natural extension for what I wanted to do in the first place. But you're right, it's very different. We have a much smaller play space, although we try to keep a private area for tabletop specifically, as well as just gaming is the ethos, not just any specific type.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always, what I wanted to set out to do was create a place where kind of it celebrates all gaming.
I was going to say, you have a lot of, I'm just going to call it nerdy culture stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, video games, specifically a lot of retro stuff, a lot of toys, collectibles, some board game stuff, tabletop stuff. I walk in there and I go, I want that. Okay, no, I can't take that home. I don't have room for that.
You kind of hit the nail on the head of the vibe that I was setting out to do when I started this. Was I noticed that there was a very easy intrinsic crossover on all of this stuff. If you like one geek thing, it's fairly reasonable that you like other geek thing. And so the synergy just kind of came by virtue of, oh, we like escapism, let's do the escapism thing and play game. You know what I mean? And it turns out everybody that likes a game likes another game. or another game, or another game.
Yeah, it's. And by the way, don't at some point, obviously, make sure you give out the name of your shop because I know you do sell online.
I do.
So people can. I mean, we'll give you a good plug spot at some point, but I don't want to feel like you can't shout yourself out.
Oh, sure. I'm always more conversational than promoter, which is probably why I am a hole in the wall store as opposed to a larger store. But I appreciate that. No.
But yeah, so first, how long have you been at how long have you owned a game store in some iteration or what you approximate as a game store?
So I initially started out doing helping other people do trade shows, and that began 11 or 12 years ago because I am old at heart and of body. And then about 8 years ago, I put the business plan into effect, and we are actually entering our 8th year now as a physical retail location. We do a lot of trade shows, like a lot of Comic-Cons and things of that nature. But as far as a physical retail location, we started building it at the end of 2016-ish. And yeah, we're coming up quick on our 8th year, which is exhausting to think about, and aging kind of like the rapid aging sequence at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when they all rapidly what was it, Julian Glover's character rapidly deteriorates from taking a drink. That's how I feel talking about this. So, but yeah, no, it's so probably almost 8 years. It's been a cool ride though, because I've discovered that Pittsburgh, which is where I'm at, is really geeky. It's probably one of the coolest, nerdiest cities I've ever been to, and they really support a community of this sort of thing here, which is just the best.
I've kind of noticed that too, but it seems weird in that the Pittsburgh geeky community seems to stay very celled. Like we'll meet up at a convention or whatever, but there's this crew and this crew and this crew, and we all know that each other exists, but yeah, no, we're doing our thing and you're doing your thing, and I don't know if that's unique to here.
I have found. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was kind of at the end of my thought. So.
Oh, okay. I have found since doing this, especially because we had the benefit. So Pittsburgh is a weird cardinal direction city where we've got bridges and tunnels everywhere, and so it's very easy for the city to get segmented in their own little vicinity, so to speak, these little boroughs. And one of the neat things that we noticed was you have because we originally started south of the city, which is theoretically, as the crow flies, 4 minutes away, but an hour and a half as traffic moves.
And then don't throw in road construction.
Yeah, exactly. So we found though that people will avoid the bridges and tunnels, so they kind of get compartmentalized to their areas around the city. We were weirdly lucky in that we were bringing people kind of east of the city to us anyway. So it was fascinating to move the store, expect it to be worse, and then it suddenly get busier than we'd ever been, just because we had reached out across the city lines compared to what other people normally do. But as regards to Pittsburgh, though, people will avoid travel for some reason, and so you hit the nail on the head. They will get these little core groups around the city that kind of just stay in their little neighborhoods, which is kind of awesome in a weird way, because then they start to know their stores, they start to know their people, they start to know their community, and then over time, those communities all kind of merge into one, like you said, at events and at places and at things to do. And then this community just feels huge and really supportive, like little structures within a net, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because PGX, just to go back a little bit, and I mentioned this when we did the wrap up on it. PGX is a really neat show because, I know for me going back this year, there were people that I recognized as just, hey, I saw you here last year.
That's amazing.
They weren't a presenter, anything. It was just, I remember that person from last year. It wasn't someone I had a conversation with, anything like that. But
which is fascinating because Pittsburgh has this thing where even though PGX had, I don't know if we've officially announced the number yet, but I'll do it here because I don't care. We doubled last year. It was well over 30. When you factor in kids, it's somewhere between 3,200 and 3,500 attendees this year. Mm-hmm. It was absurd. It was huge. It was amazing. Last year we capped, I believe, at 28, which was the coolest thing in the world. We figured, 10% year over year, that'd be great. We get a few hundred extra people, it'd be amazing. No, it was absurd. It was awesome. The thing that we find, though, is even though Pittsburgh can support an event like that where you have thousands of people in a building, Pittsburgh still feels at its core like a small town. You will see people that you recognize, you'll lock eyes with them and be like, I know you from somewhere. And it just happens. And it's unnerving if you have anxiety, which I do, and occasionally get kind of freaked out when someone will yell for me across the street in a different part of the city where I'm like just trying to, I don't know, check out a brewery or something. But it's very cool to know that Pittsburgh is so tight knit that like you hit the nail on the head. You'll recognize someone just because you saw them in passing once, just because they're there. And it's so cool here.
So, I mean, other than just loving games, was there any other reason you got into having a game store?
Midlife crisis, very early on. So yes, there is actually. So I had initially started a game store in a rural community in 2009. Legends End was what it was called, up near Katanning, PA, if you know the area. I did that for about 10 months until the property manager of my building kept breaking into the store. So we won't name any names so I'd finally had enough. And then alarmingly, it was successful because when you build a gaming store in an area where there is nothing to do, if you build it, they will come mentality does apply in a lot of ways. And so I did that. I loved it. It was nearly successful, but then I ran from rural America out to the city because I am a city kid at heart, despite growing up around farms and tractors and all that fun stuff. So after I had done that, I had gotten the itch for the next several years, half a decade or more, until I started helping some friends of mine open theirs in Penn Hills, which is just a suburb of Pittsburgh. After I'd done that, I was like, oh, I really need to do this again. It wouldn't get out of my head for years. So I built a business plan out and everything. I was working corporate jobs, doing operational management stuff on anywhere from like the crummiest retail job all the way up to like that's a whole topic of my life that's unique, but running an airsoft company, which is the weirdest industry in the world, which is effectively toy guns and like Call of Duty LARPing, for lack of a better explanation. And we were one of the largest in the country for sure, but even one of the largest in the world based out of Pittsburgh. And so I did that for years until I legitimately ended up having a mental break and I quit on the spot. Now, that's an interesting story because my business partner, I have a business partner for the shop. He's very silent because he's doing his own thing, but my business partner is actually the dude who owned that airsoft company. And he liked me enough that even though I had quit, he was like, let's start this thing you talked about. And so that's where this kind of jumped off of. So he let me walk away from something that I had been really high up in to come start this instead. And he supported me that pretty darn well in the building of it. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, we started this as kind of I needed to do this or I would probably have exploded. Like I would have like not existed anymore. And there's a whole topic of mental health and like mental degradation that comes from quantifying people as numbers that kind of like bums me out. And that's kind of part of the reason I left and the stress of all that sort of world. But then getting into the gaming side of it, it saved my life 100%. As much as I work way more and more hard and have less money, I'd take it a million times over what was happening before. So yeah, that's a weird one. I haven't really thought about that story in a long time, but it's a long path to me running games and then hating games. So yeah, it's interestingly enough. Yeah.
and for those of you who hear him say he hates games, he says this to me regularly when I come in to have conversations with him. Complete deadpan, whatever. And I think, is it fair to say it's like, it's a fatigue, but you love them so much you can't leave and that's why you hate them? Oh,
so 100%. Yeah. I have the unfortunate benefit of having over the past couple of years becoming friends with the Steves in question here. And so you have to forgive me. I occasionally do just be very conversational. No, I love games. I love everything that gaming stands for. It is the most universal bridge for people of different beliefs and ideologies and lifestyles to come together and agree on something. And so it is without a doubt one of the most important aspects of our existence is the ability to play universally. I adore gaming. I think it is without a doubt the most consequential thing the human race may ever do. As weird as that sounds. The problem is never monetize your hobbies because then you hate them. Not literally, you don't get to enjoy them. Either you don't get to enjoy them anymore because they represent what you do for a living, or you never get to enjoy them ever again because time doesn't exist. 50-50. Not sure which part of it I hate the most. I love gaming. I've tried getting back into tabletop this year. I've tried getting back into video games, and it's getting better, but then the work gets harder. And then now we're coming up on the holidays, so it's getting even harder again. So I adore gaming. I just hate gaming. It's the best way to describe it. You know what I mean?
No. I get it. Like I said, having had several multi-hour conversations hanging around your shop and whatever, I get where you're coming from, but I could also see how someone could be a bit taken aback to hear that, not knowing you at all.
Sure. I pride myself on being absurd, to be clear. 90% of every action that I take, even including marketing and public outreach, is to make someone laugh or remember that they were here. It's so easy to get lost in the shuffle of small businesses that are trying to do this. I figure my best shot to stick out is to be weird as hell. Like, just honestly, if they're like, wow, remember the time we went to check out all those game stores and then there was that really, really weird guy? Let's go back there. He was funny. And if that's enough to do it, then I did my job right. So yeah, I do skew absurd a lot in ways that people aren't ready for.
Fair. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We've got some questions some of our Patreon supporters have submitted that I'll throw in from time to time here. One of them, Eric wants to know, how do you decide what new products to carry when they come out?
So I've got 3 methods that I use. The first is I scream until I'm hoarse and pass out. And when I wake up, the first thing I see, I order. The second is I check the statistics of what people are ordering the most of on our vendors, from our vendors and our distributors. And then I order those because that just makes sense. And then third, I employ a psychic from time to time just to tell me what I should get and what I shouldn't. No, obviously the answer is I monitor trends to see what's growing in popularity. We carry things that are like your expecteds. And then I try to throw in, I'm a big fan of curveballs. Every store on the planet is carrying your standard retail expected RPGs, your standard retail expected board games, your everything you would expect to get, you can get at Target. You don't have to say their name if you want to censor that. You can get them at major corporate retailers. I hate carrying that stuff because I can't even get it at a fair price because certain companies undercut their own distributors to undercut their retailers worse. I won't name any names.
I've gone on that rant before.
So I'll carry them and I will often put a sticker on them that says, please don't buy this. That would be foolish. So I will look at those. I will carry those. Generally, I find that I am a sucker for the indies, or at least smaller production stuff. Like, heck, right here in Pittsburgh, we've got a ton of killer indie developers who are doing more interesting things than major players owned by massive conglomerate toy companies. Whatever that may mean to you and your listeners. And we can have that very uncensored conversation one day if you'd like to, but I figured I would toe the line for you.
I mean, look, different people like what they like, and look,
I like it.
Yeah, we've all played the game in question. We all will probably play it again.
Playing it right now, and
I'm
screaming about it at the moment. I'm ticked that I'm playing it, but I'm playing it. You know what I mean? Like, at least it's there.
Right. It's still a game you can have fun playing with people you like being around.
When ubiquity matters, that's the thing that sucks about it, is when you create enough of an ecosystem where your product is almost the shorthand for all of it, it's just, you're stuck with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to evoke, like Kleenex, right? It's a nose tissue, but Kleenex itself became ubiquitous with the notion of wiping your snotty nose when you have a cold. Much like this other company's product became fairly ubiquitous with fantasy roleplay gaming. Take that as you will, because that's all even my customers come in asking for it. They'll be like, can I get that one but I think it's made by a different company, but the one with the underground and the winged lizards, that one. I'm like, I got you. You want to pick up this? Got you. So, but no, and that's you. It sucks to know how complicated it is to source products, right? The biggest thing that I run into is like, what is cool? Well, that's subjective, right? Like, I'm a big fan of Star Trek, and not everybody is. So what the hell do my opinions matter to someone? You know what I mean? So we try very hard to compare the numbers of what people like to buy, what people seem like they're buying elsewhere, and then what we think our customers, as eclectic as they are, might also be into.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means anything from the big one to some nifty little indies. I'm a big, I don't know, you can set this up. I'm a huge fan of IPR, Indie Press Revolution, for literally sourcing. Again, thank you, by the way, for telling me that they existed. That was one of the coolest things that I have found since doing this. Was I would prefer to carry 1,000 indies and never sell a single one of them than build my business on the back of a major corporation that wants me to shut down.
Yeah, and look, all of our long-term listeners know I've gone on that rant before, and
Right.
and I feel like shops like yours, the friendly local game stores,
Friendlies.
that's what built the hobby into what it is. That was where
Correct.
you used to have to go to get these books. That's where you met people to play with, because we didn't used to have the internet to meet on Facebook groups or Discord channels or whatever other, things you meet on nowadays. Meetup, and I don't even know if Meetup's still around, but like
I have no
the
idea.
game stores were the foundation that built what is now. And in ways, I think some of the progresses of the industry are undercutting them, but I find it kind of offensive that this one conglomerate we've mentioned has taken to blatantly undercutting the very thing that made them what they are.
It is a bit unsettling because you're right. So I've been, just to kind of add a little bit of credibility, I've been playing tabletop since I was 13, 14 years old. I'm now 36. So I've got, and nobody has to tell their age, but I will. I've got over 20 years of playing tabletop, literally worshiping at the altar of tabletop. And so I remember when it was a bullyable offense to play said major conglomerate branded lizard game.
Mm-hmm.
Lizards like to roast. And so you have to be careful not to say their name because, they send Pinkertons after you. We wouldn't want mercenaries to come and pay us a visit. You can censor that if you want, but I've got some salt about that. I've got a lot of salt about that. But, well, especially because we're Pittsburgh people. I don't know if you're familiar with the history of... Okay, sidebar. Yeah. You can nuke this if you want. I don't care. This is hilarious. So back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, we had a massive union strike in Homestead, PA.
Mm-hmm.
Massive, absurdly huge. They sent in the Pinkerton Detective Agency to smash the strike. Several people were killed. Several union workers were killed in Pittsburgh, in Homestead, by the Pinkerton Detective Agency. So when these wonderful human beings decided to send in the same company to effectively strong-arm product back from their own mistake, from a customer that they sent the wrong thing to, there's not only was I mad because that's gross, there's like a Pittsburgh-based anger too, because I don't know if any of your listeners will know this, but Pittsburgh is weirdly like, I don't know, it's a pride thing here. People just love being from Pittsburgh a lot. And there's like a weird genetic predisposition to just like, oh, I'm sorry, this affected Pittsburgh. I'm even angrier now.
There's a very strange localness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd, but whenever so not only is it gross that they send in the Pinkertons to take back this product through what should be illegal activities, but again, I'm not even weighing into that. It's already gross. But then being from Pittsburgh, it'd be like, oh, you mean the company that killed our people? You sent them in. Don't exist as a company anymore. You're terrible people. Like, it's like, that's the vibe immediately. It's absurd though, because most companies would kill for that kind of accidental good press. This one chooses at every opportunity to tank its own successes with a dumber news story every time, like clockwork. There was one yesterday that came out about stolen art for trading cards. Literally, someone just took someone's painting and put it in the background in its entirety for one of the new trading card sets.
Oh, wow.
yet if you're I think I know at least one of you's in my Discord. I posted about it just laughing. I was like, WotC's back, baby. So we're doing great. Like, it's so hilarious though. It's like, because like I love tabletop. Like, I love D&D. And that's the heartbreaker for me, is because like there's so much good around it. Like the new movie was awesome. The new Baldur's Gate game was amazing. And literally in the midst of these tentpole scenarios of like D&D having this, I'm just giving up hiding it. The D&D mainstream success, like just victory lap that they could have been having, is permanently tainted by their own stupidity and inability to manage an incredibly unnecessary crisis every single time, like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
While at the same time, just ruining their relationship with the public and the local game stores who put them on the map in the first place. So having done this for as long as I have, and playing the game for as long as I have, every single day I wake up and go, please, WotC, please be human. Just one more time. For old time's sake. It would be just very cool if you could. So yeah, doing this as long as I have, though, I lose my mind because I'm literally sitting here being like, hey, that thing that I love, don't play that one. That one sucks. Play this other one because they suck, but a lot less. And you're not supporting a company that supports the fucking Pinkertons. Again, sorry for language. Yeah, but no, but passion aside, like that is the frustration every day, is because like those are questions I have to answer in store a lot. Like, because where on one hand you come from the side of like, we would come from the side of like, how do you pick your products? I come from the other side of it too. People who are embedded in the hobby will be like, are you really comfortable? Because like, I know how you are. Are you really comfortable carrying these products? And I'm like, what am I going to do? Everybody wants them. The answer is no, because I have ethics, like even a little. But the WotC side of it complicates things for me as a store owner. Yeah. Knowing it's like I have to sell this thing for a company that hates my guts. And they won't say it, but obviously they do by every action they take. Mm-hmm. So I go to the indies. The indies, we love them. Like that's the move every time. Like there are titles of books that crack me up so much that I just buy them. 100%. I didn't even blink. Like there was one recently, I think I pointed out to you, was that Oops All Draculas.
Mm-hmm. Which is a local creator, by the way.
Yeah, you told me that. It blew my mind. I had no idea. I literally bought it based on the name. I was like, this is absurd. What is this about? And I grabbed it immediately. I was like, let me read about this. It is so silly and so funny that I'm like, this is what we should be carrying. Like, this is what people should be wanting to play. It may be a little bit more party driven or like one-off, like you played at a party, not literally like a party game, but like a party game, but just something absurd like that. Like one of the neatest ones that I have found in recent years was Los Pasiones de Pasione. I'm going to look it up exactly.
I know the one you're talking about.
It's a telenovela RPG where
it's
literally
from Magpie Games. It's
so weird, and conceptually it is the coolest thing I have seen. I had to buy a copy for myself instantly, and I did, and I love it. It's so, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, why do I still play sword and sorcery garbage fantasy? And I come from second edition to a degree, like, well, kind of. I'm a hand-me-down kid, so I came in between second and third edition, playing old mods like old like modules and stuff like Hackmaster and stuff, just to make it even crunchier and meaner. So even then, like, I want to sit there and be like, I understand the grognard mentality, and I don't even do that, but like, I am technically an old RPG guy, and I just get depressed because it's weird to bring new stuff in. To get back to your initial question, because it's hard to know what even, like, at what point when you're looking at something to bring in, do you go, am I supporting someone horrifying? Am I supporting a machine that treats this hobby and this world like strictly as a financial thing, and at the expense? And I wouldn't even mind, because again, capitalism is what it is. People are here to make money. I get all that. My ethos is very unique compared to most, so I understand that. My concern is always like, at what point is this no longer a product for customers? It's just a brand to exploit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we get things like cool games, cool expansions. We get cool new core rule books and source books and all this stuff, but they always feel so hollow because the company that makes them seems like they don't actually care about what they're doing.
Well, I've said before that I don't think the corporate structure and outlook works in RPGs because they're a very different kind of product, and at least I will say for me and a lot of other people I've talked to, a lot of the things that'll really draw me to a game is the passion that you can tell went into the creation.
For
And on
sure.
a corporate level, that is not what corporations do. They go, what can we get the most money for the least input? And that is how it's done.
Yep.
And even, to go back to, we've talked about WotC and Hasbro, Ryan Dancy, who was involved in Wizards of the Coast initially buying TSR, talked about a concept that he calls network externality that is, he says, is key to role-playing games. And he basically, what he's saying is the value of a role-playing game due to this concept is, I forget how it, but it basically, the value of your product is based on the number of people using it. And so, like, if 50 people play your game, it's worth so much. But if 5,000 people play your game, it's worth massively more. But the value isn't the game itself, it's the people that follow it, like, in a weird way.
When you have something that was so historically niche that people were literally demonized throughout the 80s for playing.
Well, look at Stranger Things. That was not unrealistic.
Right. No, the Satanic Panic was a very real thing in the 80s. So you have this thing that is a moral outrage. And so immediately it's an uphill battle for its popularity. When something this niche manages to survive what is effectively a culture war explicitly against it, and then come back in a huge way to the point where it is a mainstream success, you have to wonder, was it good marketing or was it good players sticking by the product the whole time? If your community managed to be the buoyancy needed to keep your nonsense afloat, you need to not weigh that down with the bloat of dumb decision making. You don't sink that ship. When you're built on the backs of local game stores, the players who inhabit them, the ability to play in a space and enjoy a game, that's got to be the guiding philosophy, is play, right? At the end of the day, if you commodify it in a way that it is microtransactioned, or it is you're only able to play it online, and then you actively campaign against the only thing that allowed you to exist in the first place, you either don't understand your product, you don't understand your community, or you actively detest them and don't trust them with your product.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's your philosophy as a company, dump your product, because you shouldn't. If you don't love what you're selling the way that your community loves it, don't be part of the community. You're bad for the hobby. You're I don't want to say you're bad for the hobby, because hey, you own the intellectual property rights. Good for you. You bought them in a fire sale during the downturn of all gaming. But at the same time, like, if you're going to exploit it, make sure you're exploiting in a way that, because that's the frustration, right? Like, if they are willing to work with the LGSs, they could effectively make more money if they were willing to do it in a way that wasn't horrifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could easily generate regimented events. You could generate the ability to get your books digitally when you purchase. Like, you could do a slight increase in price, but when you buy a physical book at the store, it comes sealed. You open it, there's a card, you get a book. You could I mean, just to get capitalistic about it, you could double dip on your customer if you wanted to do that as a corporation, which they do.
As a consumer, I will say, if I know I can get a free PDF, air quotes, with the purchase of the physical book, I'm more likely to buy it that way. I am typically very offended by having to pay for the same thing twice.
Which is, and you can tell that there is the margin that allows them to do it based on the fact that, okay, so MSRP on an RPG book from this company is around about $60, $59.95 or something to that effect. That's their manufacturer suggested retail price. I buy that from a distributor around 28 to 30. That's a number that I shouldn't tell you. I'm going to tell you because this is where I get frustrated with this company. They will then turn around and sell that same book on Amazon for $8 to $10 less than they're selling it to than I'm buying it from the distributor. Mm-hmm. Meaning they're undercutting everyone in their ecosystem immediately. Mm-hmm. So if they are able to sell it as cheap as they are to the end user, Either they are mismanaging allocation and trying to make up money, or they're profiting on each of those items regardless. Meaning, at that MSRP level, there is room to sell it in a way that they're not going to lose money by including a PDF, which is really apparent every time you think about it. And so the frustration comes is like, you could easily sell, you could mathematically sell the book for less, include a PDF, and not screw over your local game stores and the actual in-store play people, and still turn a profit, unless you are mismanaging your product that poorly, which obviously they are not, because D&D it's printing money.
Basically, yeah.
Especially now that it's gone so digital, they only need to generate a PDF one time, or a website that includes the content one time, and then just send it out. Don't get me wrong, I understand there's R&D costs. I'm not foolish, but at the same time, if they have room to sell it for as low as they often do, they could sell it for more and still be better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And stop undercutting their distros, stop undercutting their end vendors, stop undercutting their own customers who like to shop local, who maybe don't want to give money to another major corporation based out of Seattle, who may not want to give, who may not care about 2-day shipping, or who may want to just have it in hand today. Mm-hmm. By going to their LGS, because there is no greater friend to retail than impulse. Just point of fact, people are impulsive creatures. Humans are very instant gratification driven. You work with your local stores who will, hell, I'm the type of store, if you call me and I'm not open, I'll be like, I can make it in. I'll be there. Don't worry. Like, we're going to get your product in the hands of a customer faster than you are, because you don't value them as a customer. We do. We need them. Like, mm-hmm. Cool, you have IP rights, you can sell a movie, you can sell a video game, blah, 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 blah. We can sell your product and make a new person want to continue playing that for life. Because that's why I still play tabletop. Not that I like gaming, to be clear. But that's why I still play tabletop even now, is because back before all of this hullabaloo, that was the fun thing. And so it bums me out coming from it from a store perspective, because I literally have to sit back and be like, this thing that I love, maybe something else. What are you into? Do you like fantasy? Try this. Oh, you like sci-fi? Definitely try this. And that feels so antithetical to what got me into that side of the game in the first place. But from a business perspective, it's just really hard to go to bat for them. Mm-hmm. And it sucks because, like, from the store perspective, like the actual ownership perspective, is like, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because you need to have it. It's part and parcel for a store like this. Do you have any D&D books? Well, yeah, I do. And then nothing hurts like trying to talk someone out of buying it in a way that makes them feel like you're not disrespecting their intelligence, right? Like, you never want to talk someone out of buying something, to be clear. If someone's like, here's your money, you say, thanks, I appreciate you, because you do. But there's still that small little voice in the back of your head going, I know you can get this cheaper. They're undercutting me, which sucks. But like, I can't, like, I feel they put me as a store owner in a precarious position where I feel uncomfortable selling their product for what they tell me I should sell it for, because they're unwilling to sell it for that price themselves. Yeah. So it creates a moral dilemma for me, which is not what I want to have to deal with. Like, I like writing moral dilemmas into my sessions and making my players panic about what right and wrong is. I don't want to have to face a moral dilemma to suggest someone play the game in the first place. Mm-hmm. That messes me up. So I don't know. It's weird. And then but yeah, just undercutting your own distributors and your vendors is such a weird business model that I can't wrap my head around. No matter how hard I try, I cannot see that. They're relying on the impulse of next day delivery or 2-day delivery to undercut the long-term health of their game to the benefit of immediate instant gratification for shareholders, it sounds like. Yeah. Oh no. It's icky. But hey, gaming is fun, y'all. Y'all should play games as soon as you can. I realize now that there are way too many horrifying quotes in here that are great sound bites for you to use.
You're implying that I'm willing to take the time to cut it up that far.
Thank God. Perfect. Someone else might, though. That's the thing, right? No, but it's messed up because there's so many great games. Like, y'all have shown me killer games even that I did not know about. Like things like Hell Knight or Morkborg or stuff like that. And those are they're barely indies now, but compared to the big names, they're indie as heck. Like, they're awesome and they're creative.
Mm-hmm.
And they're weird, or they're unique things that do something that isn't a status quo thing, right? Even Paizo, for all of their anathema to the D&D ethos, they're still effectively the same thing, built on the same foundation, doing the same setting kind of thing. There are so many more things than sword and sorcery in that world. Like, that's before you even get into the board game elements. That's before you even get into, card game elements or any of that stuff. That's just in the RPG space alone. There are even licensed products that are still big names, big name IPs, that are doing more fascinating and creative things than WotC is willing to do with its own product that is the kind of the progenitorial product of its kind.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks, because like it's cool. And then you have to sit there and feel kind of like you have to take a shower after you buy the books. Like last time I put an order, I was just like, I just spent more to my distro than if I would have just bought it on Amazon.
And that's yeah.
So I may not have a distro after this conversation, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a small part of me it's like, cool, that's fine. I'll just buy it from Amazon, evidently. No, but it does make me laugh though, because you're making me reckon with a lot of the things that I hate about being a game store owner, which is that it shouldn't be this hard.
No.
I buy things for the video game side of my business and for the toy side of my business and the collectible side of my business that work in human margins, right? More realistic numbers. I can realistically get a 50% margin or better on things. Now, that sounds like it's so much profit. It's really not. We have employees, we have overhead, we have rent. Like, it is hard to make money, believe it or not, especially as a small store. And that is why we generate a lot of stuff online that we can. That's why we run a website. That's why we do all of those things, is to kind of cast a wide net to get as many customers as we can. And I can't in good conscience, like, I can't pay my employees terribly. I would never feel okay with myself. So I try to be better than a minimum wage guy, because that sucks. And I would never work that way myself, not in this economy. So, but our margins can be better in other things. And then I feel like I'm permanently fighting uphill for what is effectively a cheaper product to produce than everything else I carry. And that kind of becomes an even bigger, like stick in my craw about it. But then I go and talk to like an indie company, like IPR, who literally is just a unique distributor for a bunch of different things. And my margins are similar to what I get in video games. And then I always check, I'm like, is the creator getting paid? And the creator generally seems to be getting paid. I actually talked to a creator who sells on IPR.
Mm-hmm.
I bought his books directly from him once, and I bought his books on IPR, and he seems to do okay. And if that company is able to survive with the margins that they're offering, I imagine a major corporation could as well, without being so anti-consumer and anti-store. It's weird. I am a terrible business owner by all accounts. I would never want to take advantage of my customer base, which makes it very hard to profit for whatever that's worth. I will happily be poor as long as we can build a community around gaming. And I know that sounds like that's pandering. No, I really am very poor. Trust me. Like, I'm busy and I'm poor. That's how I know I'm doing it right. We're constantly busy and I have no money. So I'm doing something okay. But no, like that is the thing that always kind of stinks about this, is because I can see the benefit to running, like you said, like I do not have a standard local game store. We have other types of gaming content in here. And what that does is it casts a really frustrating spotlight on the issues with the tabletop space as a game store owner and running tabletop in these stores, because there are very cool board games that are in vogue that will come out that people really want to play. And this is just outside of even the RPG space. Like board games, the people be like, I want to buy that. And they'll be like, I want to buy that at my local store. And I have to tell them when they come in that it's only available at Target, that it's only available at Walmart, that it's only available on Amazon, because there's no trust. There's no trust in your game stores anymore. And it's not from your local like customers. It's from your major corporations that don't seem to want to partner with them. And like, they don't want to partner. They want to just throw it at a distributor and then never talk to them again. That I've carried a lot of these products for years. I've never spoken to anybody who works at Wizards. I've never spoken to anybody who works at Hasbro, but I've spoken to people who work at the smaller publishers. I've spoken to people who work at Artel Saurian. I've spoken to people who work at Green Ronin. I've spoken to people who work at smaller places that seem to actually want to still kind of prop up the notion of their local game shops.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't feel like, I feel very bad because this is all very doom and gloom. But in reality, like, tabletop gaming is hotter than ever right now. And so, but I just don't necessarily think that it has to be in the space that is these huge companies handling it. These smaller companies actually do still work with the stores. And the stores aren't the end all be all, because I see that because I have the benefit of, I do this, I partake in the hobby myself, I do e-commerce, which is separate from the store itself, and I also run a convention whose primary focus is on multidiscipline gaming. And we can see all of these pillars of the gaming community, and you can always tell who cares about the community and who doesn't. Every time. We see companies like Paizo and Pathfinder, or just Paizo in general. They have their organized play crews who will go in and run demos. They have their organized play crews who will go in and do adventure paths and teach people how to play. You have smaller publishers whose writers and producers and just creatives will go to these shows to just hang out or run games or give panels and talks on this stuff. You don't get that with companies that hate the stores. And it sucks because, again, you're stuck always like kind of being a defender for its existence while also being like, I wish that it didn't exist at all.
Yeah. And I think and it's really hard at times because you have people like a Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, right? I feel like they genuinely love games and gaming, and they happen to work at the place that they do.
Right.
I think if anyone could ever have a candid conversation with them off the record, you would probably hear a lot of the same comments that we've been throwing back and forth tonight.
Right.
We can't, obviously they can never say that.
Right.
But, I don't know. Steve, do you have anything to add in here? You've been very, very quiet tonight.
No, sorry. I'm still trying to protect my voice.
Fair.
I'm not giving anybody a chance either. You pushed the boulder down the hill, and I just started rambling about the.
No, but like I said, it's a different perspective on it, right? It's a perspective that we as the consumer don't necessarily see.
It creates a situation where because I'm kind of in the middle, right? Like, you're a consumer, but you're also a content creator around it. I'm a consumer for it, So I have to sit here and have a little bit of whiplash when I'm like, I love to buy this for me, and I love running the software for my game. It's very convenient. The ecosystem is so rad, kinda. And then I go and look at it, and then I go, oh, I have to buy this for my store. And I go, what? It was cheaper for me as a consumer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so why the hell am I carrying this product? That's not the question that I want to ask. Like, any product that I carry historically is like, I'm jazzed about. I'm like, yo, I can't wait to carry this. This is going to be sick in the store. People are going to freak out when they see we've got this. That's one of those situations where I'm like, why do I even have this? I'm either going to have to answer questions about people who are mad about the new outrage of the week that the company caused, or I'm going to have to feel guilty that I sold somebody something that is, by my metrics, overpriced considerably. I'm literally gouging. I feel like a scalper every time I sell it.
Well, and the other thing that and I don't know that you know the numbers on this. I don't know them specifically, but I also know that while other smaller publishers, be it Artel, Saurian, whoever, are selling their similar sized hardcover books at these price points, the runs that WotC and Hasbro are printing at, they are probably paying a quarter per volume what, say, Artel Saurian is. And I'm probably being like
very generous.
Yeah.
Well, consider the notion of even independent publishing. Like, if you look at smaller publishers who do 8.5 by 11 books, sometimes you, as a person in the public, can get those books printed for like $12 to $20, somewhere in that range, without corporate money, right? Even at $20 a book, at a $60 MSRP, that's a lot of money to go around, right? So then take that away for a second. Like, just imagine then that you are a major corporation who is offshoring that work. There is a huge margin in there. No matter what. If they are spending more than that per book, no, they're not. But if they are, I go back to my point about mismanaging their allocation. I like to assume that it's never malice. It's a bad call. It's, what is it, Hanlon's razor, I think? Yeah, Hanlon's razor, never attribute to malice what could be adequately explained by stupidity. I think that's the gist of the quote. But that doesn't really vibe with their public-facing ethos, which seems to be our customers? Send the Pinkertons. Like, I don't know if that's their mission statement, but it could be. And the fact that the public will joke that could be their mission statement, because I saw it today before I went to bed. I work overnight a lot, because I guess it's a weird sentence to say. But I saw literally this morning someone being like, making fun of the Pinkerton thing about the stolen art situation that just went live this week. And I'm just like, that's now something that is going to be just permanently tied to their reputation as a company. And that's like, that bums me out, because it's like, I want to play D&D. But I supported a mercenary group. Shit. Like, that's the vibe that I have to like work through every time I think about it. So it's like, yeah, give me something with a real, like, I would rather buy from, well, prime example. I literally sent an email to Artel Saurian and got one back. They're already a better company to me. Like, I've sent an email to Green Ronin. I've talked to one of the producers at Green Ronin in person. These are companies I'd rather work with. Mm-hmm. Not to just be like, it's weird. So we've actually been kind of reformatting our ethos for here about being a store that emphasizes the indie RPG spaces, because they're cooler, they're weirder, they kind of harken back to the niche days of tabletop, where it was dorky and weird and not cool, and that's way cooler to me. I really enjoy supporting like LGBT creators. I really enjoy supporting like persons of color who do all this work, because we literally have so much corporate nonsense in it. I would rather deal with our local or just unrepresented people any chance I get, because they actually still have passion, creativity. They care about honestly, I feel like they care about the weirdness of the medium better than corporate influence. They care about the safety of the hobby. They care about the safety of the people who partake in the hobby. And that all feels way more important than publishing millions of these books that are way overpriced and are so just poorly put together. I did not intend for this to turn into a let's bash WotC night. Like, I don't know how this happened. Well, I'm so sorry.
No. But
well, they exist as a monolith that you compare every part of this business to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like, so like I could be like, I love this thing that I get to do in my job. Wish WotC did that. Like Bits and Mortar. What a fantastic principle. There are so many other publishers that work with them that are real publishers. There are also publishers that are very small publishers. It feels like an equal playing field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their business model is easy. Buy book, get PDF of book. It's not rocket surgery. Like, that is the easiest notion of how to cater to an always connected audience while still having the benefit to facilitate a physical product in a retail store.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a major company who does the same thing in a way that is more regimented, sure, because they need to protect their interests. I get it. There are ways to authenticate that aren't you cutting out your retail store in the entirety of it. I understand that there's product overhead. I understand that there's manufacturing costs. Again, I'm not foolish, but you're doing it anyway. So stop catering to exclusively online when in X amount of years, here's the thing, right? Like, we have a very unique cross-section of pop culture that allowed tabletop to flourish in the past few years. You have things like Stranger Things that put it into vogue. You had cartoons making fun of it for years, literally until Stranger Things was probably the first bit of pop culture to not treat it as lame, I would argue. Because don't get me wrong, cartoons and TV shows and all that have been doing D&D stuff for years, but they treat it as a punchline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Things literally built it intrinsically to the plot of the show, that these kids and their understanding of tabletop lets them win and save the day. It was probably the first positive depiction of this space in ever. Literally, I would say probably ever. It's not Monsters and Mazes starring Tom Hanks. It's not the Dungeons and Dragons episodes of Community that are treating it like a punchline, right? It is a good thing in Stranger Things. At the same exact time you have that happening, you have Matt Mercer and the Critical Role people literally making it a compelling, narrative-driven storytelling experience that's very listenable, right? Regardless of my opinions on their form of actual play versus the public's now new expectations of actual play, I still think they represent a net positive for the hobby, just based on public interest being generated in it. Tabletop is at a unique place right now where it's amazing and it's huge. You know, before it was, we had, what was it, Justin Whalen or Marlon Wayans, whatever the movie was in the early 2000s for Dungeons and Dragons, Jeremy Irons. Yeah, exactly. Yes. That movie was awful. It was fun, but it was awful, right? It's been treated like a punchline even by its own IP holders. And fantasy on the whole kind of has, with the exception of Lord of the Rings. So you have this opportunity now to kind of lead the charge on this hobby. Here's the problem, though. If Critical Role stops to exist, if Stranger Things stops existing, like it's about to because the show is ending, and all of these other little spin-off shows don't maintain their following, that product becomes worthless again. And it's back to it's back to niche. So the problem is like, don't disrespect the people who put you on the map, because you're going to beg them to take you back when you're no longer publicly relevant, which is bound to happen. We have cultural swings constantly. We cycle everything. Eventually, tabletop will be lame again, and I will still be playing it because I'm lame, and happily so. We, who are generating content about tabletop, will probably still be playing tabletop, supporting the niche creators that we like, while, once again, that license becomes a bargain bin fire sale for a different company to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. That such is the life cycle of business in this sort of economy, in this sort of capitalist society. And I say that very jokingly because it's way more complex than that. And we don't even want to get into the ethos of that or into the weeds of all that. It is, however, probably going to happen. Things that are, listen, Nickelback was once the highest selling band in the world. They had at one point in time 20 number one hits. They've now released 3 albums that no one has heard. They do not get radio play anymore. Sometimes too much of something makes everybody hate something. And sometimes things just fall off.
Fair.
So D&D might go away. And so you really want your game stores to still be propping up that little bit of income that you're going to get from it and stop taking advantage of your customers. So we're caught in a weird situation. Again, I have to sit here and point the finger at this company. We don't carry trading cards. We wanted to. We love Magic the Gathering here. It's awesome. We will not carry it. The margins on it are destructive. The allocation is psychotic. And the culture around it is built on the gray market making you more money than the actual acquisition of the product from the distributor. So we don't carry it. And I worry for any store who makes it the primary control point of their business. If you are getting into the tabletop space explicitly for cards, I worry that you will not have a leg to stand on for long. And it's not even to be like, we're in a situation again in Pittsburgh. We're very community oriented. I'm friends with my competitors. We talk on the regular. We all are friends to a huge degree, or at best we're frenemies. But literally the same guiding thing always comes up. It's like, I do this, but I really have to rely on my concession sales to save a draft weekend. I have to rely on impulse purchases of other shit in the store to save the weekend when we have Friday Night Magic. And I'm like, that is an inherently destructive way to do business. And so then they've created a situation where there's this gray market for product because allocation sucks. So you have 2 options. You either sell it at retail and risk your ass every time, or you start cracking packs and selling them on the gray market yourself directly, which then violates customer trust, in my opinion. And I can't even inherently blame the companies for doing that, because when you have rent to pay, when costs of doing everything are going up so absurdly, and you want to pay your employees and pay your bills and survive in this just awful industry, you have to sit there and weigh whether or not to do something that's not great, against doing the right thing and losing your business. And that's not a choice you should have to make. And that's a choice that's directly affected by the companies that produce this stuff. So it's really hard for me to ever I'm under the impression, and this could be wrong, and but I've been told by several people that so we've gotten a new tabletop store that opened within a minute of my store, with 2 more on the way. I'm not worried. And here is why. It's not the bread and butter of my business. And it seems as though their primary focus is on trading cards, which means I worry for all 3 of these businesses in the long term. They may make a chunk of money right now. They may do great. I do not think that they have staying power because they might be stuck. And I've heard of stores who have closed down because of how much of their business started to come from that side of the industry, who now know these businesses no longer exist because over half of their income came specifically from Magic Nights. You can't sustain your business on a single product line like that. You have to diversify your income or you don't last. And so I worry that the industry is heading towards a unique kind of crash. As somebody who's watched it crash before, because I've been an outsider in it, I've been a customer in it, and I'm old enough to have a memory, we could be heading towards the same kind of bubble right now where we're coming out of COVID. There was a huge boost to the market, and coming out of COVID that sentence is very loaded, and I understand that. But society has deemed COVID over, whether or not we agree. And so we have to survive in the economy as it is. My store was shut down for almost 2.5 years because I wanted to make sure that we opened in a healthy way, in a safe way for the public, right? Problem is during all of that, it's some stores just opened within 3 months. Other stores never opened again. And so, but you had this market pop up during COVID where collectors were killing it because you could scalp anything that was geeky that we were finding. It was GPUs for computers, it was cards, it was all of this. And so you could see the market for everything just go wacky. Games that used to be worth $10 are now worth $50 and $60. Games that were worth $80 are now worth $500. The margins are asinine. The big thing that I found though is that there is no sustainability if you limit yourself to one product, which is what everybody who does these cards do. And so it's really hard to see where we're going from a tabletop space entirely. I think I don't know. I'm concerned about an impending crash as well for this, just all of this side of the world. You can't even get allocation half the time unless you spend way more than you should to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's just, but yeah, there are allegedly several more stores opening, some of which are as close as within 2 minutes of me. I cannot wait to see what happens. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm I just sell video games whenever the tabletop sales dip. And then I sell tabletop because these other stores don't carry the weird stuff that I get in because I prefer the weird stuff. Our customers know we're weird, so they like it. But yeah, it's when you look at cards, when you look at tabletop, they're all controlled by these major corps, and they it's hard to rely on them to care about you to even get you the product to sell for them.
Well,
so, yeah.
I'm going to condense. We got some other questions from another listener, InstaWin. No. Going to condense a few of his because they all kind of sort of blend together. But what impact have you seen from, and I'm going to kind of lump these all as technology dependent things like VTTs, 3D printing, drive-through, Kickstarter. What sort of impact have you seen the rise of those make on your business?
Well, so prime example, we were talking about IPR. They do digital distribution. I believe, I can't remember who started IPR. Was it Evil Hat?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Don't quote me to that. I might be wrong. I actually want to find that out. I'll do some research. But long and short, I believe that it benefited a publisher when it launched. I believe that it was to the benefit of a publisher. And that's not even a bad thing because it should benefit someone so that they actually care about it to maintain it, right? The big thing is I buy books at a fair margin from them. They sell books at a fair margin. They sell PDFs at a fair margin. So technology on one hand is terrifying. You have these virtual tabletop solutions that they kind of dive in to being let's get rid of the game store. Let's get rid of the kitchen table. Let's get rid of all this. What I have found is a massive amount of technological adoption and adaptation still at the tabletop level. People will take virtual tabletops. They will take Roll20s. They will take all of the whatever they're using, and they'll put a monitor on a table on its back.
Mm-hmm. I've seen many game tables built that way with a TV built right in the center.
Yeah, I've built them. They're amazing. like, I want to build another one for here. It's awesome. So I don't think that they represent an inherent negative to it. I think the thing you have to consider, though, is willingness to adapt to an ever-evolving technology, right? So prime example, we bring up Bits and Mortar again. Like, that's a great way to adapt to a changing technology, right? It's much easier to read a good indexed and like
Bookmarked.
yeah, like pages that are actually hyperlinked in there.
Yes.
I need to go to that page. Like table of contents. That was the word. I was like, what? I'm like, books. I sell books. I don't even remember how books work. Because well, that's just it. We are so digital now. You start to forget like the simple things because of convenience. But Bits and Mortar is a prime example of something that's really useful in that space. You can come in and buy a physical book, and if it's a partnered product, well, I can send you a good, well-produced PDF that you can put on your iPad or your tablet or your computer or whatever. That is an example of a good technological adaptation that I think is really good for game stores, because it's built for game store owners and runners to use to create convenience for the customer. It's amazing. And then same idea with the virtual tabletops. Instead of railing against them and freaking out that they exist, integrate them into this. Even if you do it at the store level, we put monitors. You can grab a monitor and put it even on a gimbal when you play an RPG. You can spin around and be like, here's your map. Here's where you are right here. So you can integrate this tech and still be doing it at the table in a way that doesn't negate the experience and can, in my opinion at least, improve it dramatically, especially because I have noticed that there's a huge, there's been a bit of a downfall to the whole theater of the mind style of RPG running. I don't know if you have the same experience or not. It used to be you could describe a scene and people would talk about what was happening in the scene, and rarely did it ever have to, it never even had to hit graph paper or wet marker or anything like that. You would just talk about what's happening. And while I think that that's a bit of a lost art, or at least a dying art, I think the ease of generating visual content is so in favor of the end user now that you can still do it in a way that's flashy and visual. And it now allows you to, for lack of a better word, if you're writing your session, it's your product, and you can now elevate your product in some cases for free. Like, there are sites that do the virtual tabletop thing for free. Like Owlbear Rodeo is one that I've tried out. It's neat. Like Multiverse is another one that's like very different stylistically, but does the same thing. It's free to use. So you have, and again, even kudos to D&D Beyond, to WotC. They bought D&D Beyond and turned it into a really good digital ecosystem. I can have my iPad here and scroll up, and I can literally pull up my characters' character sheets on the fly. I can see where they're at. I can see what their health is. I can generate content based in the moment. I can slip items into their inventory without them even knowing it, just all from a really useful workstation. So it's nice. I like the technology implementation. I think it's great if your store is willing to adapt. This is where I can't speak for your average listener. I love change in tabletop. I think it's great. I think adapting, changing, doing new things is awesome. Again, back to give the frustrating amount of credit to Wizards, I love the mechanics of 5th edition D20. I think they're great. I think doing things like rolling for advantage and simplifying absolute values for skill checks is brilliant and mechanically the same, but just simplified in a way that makes it easier to play. And I come from character folios where you do dive into the minutia of stuff. I love minutia, but I also love being able to generate a campaign in 10 minutes as opposed to 10 hours, or a session in 10 minutes as opposed to 10 hours, especially when you work like I work, which is stupid. And I think you guys work dumb too, if you're anything like me. Being able to generate content fast and still be visual and still be interactive and still be the tabletop experience is amazing. And that's what's depressing, is when you can't, because it's hard to play something. And everybody's used to digital technology. Everybody is used to technology now. Before, I'd have been irritated if someone had a laptop at my table, because they're clicking around and they're looking at the computer and they're not really paying attention to the game. So they're wasting these great role play moments, or they're missing their turn in initiative. That's not the case anymore, though. Everybody has become so well versed in the technology that they're probably more attentive than I am, because I'm like really ADHD. And so they're like, well, it's his turn now. We have to go. And I'm just like, they're paying attention. They're doing better. They know exactly where they're at in the round. They know exactly how much health is left on the field. I'm like, so it's just different. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's good, and technology is good. And virtual tabletop, I think, represents a great thing for in-store if you're not afraid of it or worried that it's coming for you, so to speak. Because a lot of times it does feel like it is. Just bring it in, adapt it to what you need.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
All right.
That was what you wanted to hear? I don't know.
I wanted your opinion, so sounds like I got a lot of it.
Hey, listen, you asked. You told me to show up. I showed up. I'm sorry.
No, you've done great. So, all right, you've hinted around it. Take a couple minutes to give the name of your shop, where people can find it. You have avoided thus such far, and I can tell you're still at work or already at work, whatever the case may be. So,
correct. So I own a shop called Retrograde Gaming and Collectibles. We're based out of Monroeville, PA, which is effectively Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is a conglomeration of about 1,000 towns. We're 10 minutes, 15 minutes from downtown if traffic's on your side. We literally do. We specialize in video games, and I tell everybody we emphasize escapism, because we carry everything from tabletop RPGs to board games to retro video games to modern video games, and gaming is the thing. We have some toys, but essentially everything we do is about avoiding reality in a good way. Not in a I should take a vacation to the psych ward way. That's a different conversation that we should have one day. But the long and short of it is, I do think actually that gaming is important. So we try to make sure we carry all manner of gaming. But yeah, it's retro. You can find us literally at retrograde.games, like the astrology term, like Mercury is in retrograde. That's the name of the business. Unrelated, retrograde has an archaic meaning, which just means to go back to a different point in time. And that was the entire guiding principle for developing it, was be a kid again and not worry about the misery of existence, because it can be miserable. It's been a work week already, and I think it's only Tuesday.
Second Monday.
It's only second for you. You're doing great. It's been a very long month this week.
Well, I hear that.
But yeah, that was we wanted to make it so, like, hey, like, go back in time, go back to a different point in history, and just get away from the rigor of existence as it stands right now. So we use the antiquated, the archaic and out of use version of retrograde to make it up. Also, just a cool word. It's a really good word for branding when it's one word, which is also the depressing truth of it. If you make your game store named something weird, people can't figure out what it is. So we're like, we want to keep it simple, because it's true. Like, I mean, so retrograde.games, we do all sorts of stuff. We run events in stores. We are working on getting scheduled regimented content back into the shop. This doesn't even get started on like the fact that for the past 8 months I've been fighting with a landlord to repair things so we can have our events back. That was a bit of a nightmare, but I believe that tomorrow, you can keep this off the record if you want. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., they're finally sending in a contractor to fix our ceiling. The roof is done. Now they're going to repair the ceiling, so we'll have our lights back, and they're going to clean it up and fix the tiles and everything. It's ridiculous how long I have been fighting this fight, because we lost 2 major fighting game events, like launches of these games. We would have had monthly events including them. We lost 2 game launches entirely. That's how long this has been going on, which is very bad for business, if you would believe. But yeah, so we should be back to normal very soon. I'm very thankful. If we want to know what we're thankful for this time of year, it's that I can open my business in 2024 without panicking again, hopefully. So dude, it's absurd. But yeah, it's a game store. We are literally, I refer to the store slogan wise as the store so indie it kind of sucks. And I will stand by that until the day I die. And if we don't kind of suck, I'm going to make it suck worse on purpose, just to keep it a little less corporate.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll dirty up the floor a little bit more. We'll break a wall. We'll smash a light. We'll make it suck, kinda, to ensure we maintain our style as the most mom and pop store possible.
Well, I will volunteer to come help you break things. I'm good at that.
Fantastic. I can't wait. But yeah, no, like I said, you've been here. I'd love to get a game on again in the future where just we have games again. I have a lot of people asking, when are you bringing tabletop in? When are you doing demos again? And I think we're about to start being able to do it. So I am so pumped up, because I miss having noise in here. Like, it's been kind of eerie and quiet. Like, we'll get customers in, they'll buy something, but it's like, I want to hear somebody doing a weird voice and talking like an orc and getting mad. We didn't even get to do our Extra Life this year, which broke my heart because we did that last year. But
Yeah, that was fun.
yeah, and then but my water heater blew up the next day after Extra Life last year. That's what kind of started the downhill trend of everything going wrong. So yeah, but that's next year we'll be back. We'll be raising money for charity. We'll be hopefully doing some geeky stuff in store as we get through the holidays because I didn't start this job to be quiet. Right? It's weird. I don't like that. But yeah, we're off the beaten path in Monroeville, PA. We're not on the main drag. We found a cheap business to have a bigger store with a lot more parking. This is the smartest decision I could make because I was able to survive COVID paying the rent without being open. I'll take a cheap store over anything else compared to that. But no, yeah, and I appreciate you giving me the shot to talk about it. It's weird. For being a person who does marketing and promotion for a convention and coming from marketing and design and all of those things, I hate promoting. Despite that being the thing that I know the most about is marketing, I really would prefer to be like, hey, I own a game store, you should check it out, than ever be like, you should come to my game store, we've got all of these things. Because if you come here, you'll be disappointed. Or like I'm terrified, right? Like we have really good reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
That scares the shit out of me because I can never do bad now. I can never have an off day. Like I'm terrified that if I have an off day, it'll lower my number, right? Here's a little anecdote that broke my heart, and I'll send you the review. I had a woman come in the store probably a month ago now, maybe a month and a half ago now. This is the first time she was ever in here. She had been having just like work sucked. I think she had a death in the family that she was like, it was around the anniversary of, like everything she was miserable, right? So she wasn't going on doing it, and her friend drug her out, and she came here. I do not know this friend. I do not know this person. I do now. I didn't then. So she comes in. She was very shy. She was even like behind a mask. So I got no facial expression. I got no feedback. So she comes in. I had a couple people in helping me do some organization in the store because we're cleaning up like constantly because of the damage. And so she comes in and she just asks some questions. And I'm unhinged. And because I just can't, everything is hilarious to me. I have to be weird at all times. So she comes in, she's like, this C-3PO thing that you have on the table up here. She's like, what is this? And I'm like, it's for holding toys. It's broken. I'm like, do you like it? She's like, I love it. I'm like, you can have it. Because I was about to throw it away because it's busted. And she was like, what? I'm like, just take it. Seriously, I do not want it. It's yours. And she's like, I can use this. This is amazing. She's like, I can use this for like, because I think she's a teacher. She's like, I can use this for like to store some of the kids' stuff. She's like, they'll love this. Like, amazing. I'm like, I'm so happy that I can help you. Again, I'm insane. So the whole time this is happening, I'm also talking to my other slightly like ADHD employees and helpers. And so I'm kind of splitting my attention, right? But at one point in time, she goes to walk out and she sees that there's another thing on the table. She's like, oh, that sign's really cool. And I'm like, you're never going to believe me. You can have that too. I'm throwing it away. It's yours. Because it was a sign that was just stolen art that somebody like traded in one day. Like they took like art from like, I think it was Overwatch, printed it on canvas, had it made on the, like, it wasn't real. So I was like, I can't really sell that. No one's going to want it. It's all faded and stuff. She's like, wait, I can have it. I'm like, yes. She's like, I haven't spent any money today. I was like, I don't care. You took trash out for me. This is even better. That's one less thing I have to take care of. So as she's leaving, I just yell at her. I was like, hey, she's like, this is so nice. I was like, she's like, can I do anything? I was like, just like leave a review. And like, honestly, I don't even care what you say. Like, it would be cool if you leave a review and just be like, this place sucks. You can even say, like, this place sucks. It's awful. But, like, give us 5 stars when you do it. So she gives us this review. What I wasn't ready for is I figured, I just make her laugh. I'd never hear from her again. I get paragraphs of a review explaining how this is the best experience that she has ever had in a store, how she's been having the worst time of her life, and how this is the first time she has ever entered a gaming store. And this is important, I think. Whereas a woman, this is the first time she has entered a local game store and felt safe and felt that the place wasn't gatekeepy and judgmental and hard to shop in. And it sucked because I'm soft as a person, right? Like, I'm a very emotional person. Because that's why I started a store like this, is because I do think gaming is for everyone. And it should be for everyone at all times. And so I literally thought that I was just making a person laugh. And then I had to reckon with the fact that I made a difference to someone. She's now been in several times. She's offered to help work here, like to volunteer to help out. I am terrified of that responsibility to customers, right? Hence why I'm always weird and silly and so gaming sucks. But even my curmudgeonly nature is starting to like break and not work anymore. And so our reviews are good. And I can never give a bad experience, because even when I try to give a bad experience or a weird experience or an unsettling experience, we still make someone's time. And that's why I can't just like, I want to shut this damn business down so bad. And I can never leave. Every time I'm like, I can finally get a real job, I can't, because it turns out people in the community really like these places. And that's why I hate WotC. Because they don't care about the community or these places, but the community does. So the long and short of it is, that's the ether. I guess that's what you can call this episode. I feel bad though, because that is it bums me out, because I'm terrified of doing bad for the public, because the public seems like they actually like these stores, these places to game and be weird and be who you are and be. A lot of people like to decry the verbiage of a safe space or like things of that nature. But like, that's what this hobby always was. It was your Isle of Misfit Toys for your social outcasts. It was their way to do escapism. It was their way to be somebody maybe they weren't, or to just do something fun in a social setting that might have saved lives. You know what I mean? And so to me, the guiding principle for any place like this existing is to be good to people. And that's the part that is depressing, because like I can't even we have to work very hard to make sure that these stores stay open, and it feels like our own industry is fighting us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I diversify my product income. That's why we sell video games. That's why we sell toys. That's why we sell pop culture artifacts and other assorted weirdness, because I can't sell D&D. It won't make me any money. I didn't even see what that was.
That's that Demon Hunter figurine that I got from you a couple years, actually from the last year's.
Oh, the Extra Life raffle. Yeah. We ended up giving away more products that time, because I felt like we didn't give enough out, because I'm a lunatic. It was like, this is not enough. We got to get more money for charity. Which we do. We support Extra Life, which is Children's Miracle Network, and it's a gaming-based charity for that. So we could probably be making a lot more money if I wasn't such a softie, but I'd rather be.
I think that attitude and that's why people come back to the store, right?
I know.
Okay, yeah. So you didn't make $5 this time, but I come back 6 times and you make $1 each time, so you do win in the end.
If I was a cynical person, I would say that was my intention, because I joke that that's how I do it. I was like, listen, you'll never forget me. You'll always be back. But it's never the truth of it. Is I think I want to be liked as a person. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just like, I'll just be nice. It'll be fine. It
surprising
works.
How well that actually does work in life, though.
It's crazy, right? Like, I just treat people with respect and decency, and it's crazy that they will keep coming back. It's like, how did you do that? But no, yeah, it's let's just say, like, you came in the one time I met you at the show after the podcast, mm-hmm. And then I can't get rid of you. No, I'm kidding. I don't get to see Steve enough, but when I do, it's always a blast. Now you also live way more rural and way more far away.
I'm out there, out in the sticks. Yep.
But even then, because I think your local shop is Go Gamer, right?
Yep.
And so, but even I know Marius, he's the dude who runs that. He's a good dude.
Good friends with him, yeah.
I can sit here and be like, I love that store too. I want him to do well. Even other stores that are effectively competitors, I want them to be killing it too. It's important, I think. That's why we did the convention. It's the same idea. You can even see some of these weird, hey, let's treat everybody really well philosophies in PGX. And we're all very different people who run that, the three of us who run that. And but one of our guiding things is hey, we should try to build a community before we rely on profitability. Mm-hmm. And it's always been more important I made a joke when we started doing PGX the first year, was that there was a slogan that I said that made me laugh so bad, because I'm like, this is disgusting. I hate it. It sounds like such like corporate Memphis, BS corporate speak, which is gaming. What did I say? It's gaming is the universal language. What did I say? The most important thing is the universal language of play, right? That's a very stupid sentence until I can't get it out of my head and realize that it's 1000% everything I believe in. Because I've seen people who in the streets or in ideological spaces hate each other. They hate each other. You know, we're talking politically, we're talking identity, we're talking religion, doesn't matter. They do not get along. But I've seen them coexist in a space where gaming is happening and agree that they hate one character the same way in a video game, that they find one particular character the same level of annoying, and then they have a conversation where they're both on the same page. They both agree. And they may not love each other when they leave the store, but in that blessed moment, they are aligned. And I find that if we are ever going to bridge any cultural divides, gaming might be the reason it happens. Or at least the notion of the fact that every single society on Earth has some form of play. Everyone, whether it's a small toy, whether it's video games, whether it's tabletop, whether it's board games, whether it's cards, it doesn't matter. Hell, whether it's hide and seek, everyone plays. It is the most, aside from music, it is one of the most universal things that exists as a social communication. And so as much as I joked, I was like, oh, this feels like BS corporate speak. Why did I write that? I love it so much it hurts. It is an absurdly good philosophy or moniker, whatever you want to call it. It is a good way to think about gaming because this is important. And whether it's important or not, I'm going to say it is because that's how I pay my bills. No, but seriously, I do think it's very important that we all game more and more and more, because if we're gaming, we're too distracted from the things that make us miserable. Escapism's great as long as you don't lose yourself to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, things suck and tabletop is cheap. It's an initial investment, but then it's pretty much infinite after that.
Well, yeah, because you can always stop after just one or two books.
Yeah, once you know the rules, you can just make stuff up. So your tabletop sessions could go on forever, so long as you all agree. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, gaming's cool. What's this podcast about? Gaming? It's about gaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's about cars. Oh, I got that way wrong. My bad.
But
yeah,
we've had those conversations.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry. I thought this. Oh, it's about soap. It's about cars. I screwed up. That's my
yeah. Oh,
hygiene.
Hygiene.
Hello, Gene. How are you? But no, so that was fun to do that. And then so yeah, never own a business. It's a stupid idea. I regret it so much. No, 8 years. Yeah, it'll be 8 years if it's not already. I'm exhausted. I'm going to do this for another 30, I think. I joked because I started it when I was 27, 28. And I said, you know what? That was the move, right? I joked that I retired. My wife has a good job. I'm very lucky. But this is what I would have done in my retirement years, right? Like I would have run a store like this. Well, I figured I'll do it while I'm young. That way I can work all the kinks out early so that I don't have to stress when I'm old and retired. But I can just do it. It'll run itself. I can just show up. So I'm retired. That's how I look at it. My 401k is destroyed, but the economy will collapse before we get there anyway, I'm sure. Hopefully not. Don't scare anybody, but you know, I'm just saying. But no, again, if we go a little off topic for a second, I apologize. Again, I apologize for the run on and ramble. Like I didn't realize that this was actually a thing I was passionate about. You tricked me. You tricked me. I thought this was going to be simple.
This may be the least I've spoken in an episode in a very long time.
Shit, that's not what I wanted. Well, here's the thing, though. Your edit's gonna suck.
Yeah, I'll just hit both our tracks and like delete them and just upload yours.
That'll be disjointed and weird. Little avant-garde strangeness. No, I feel bad because turns out this is a really shitty topic and I didn't think about it. But yeah, it is actually really, like, you'll have stores that can do the game store thing really well, but like they've had the benefit of entering the space well before any of these problems existed. And they've been able to last this whole time because like they just have regularity, right?
Mm-hmm.
To enter into this space late is exhausting because it's dumb how everybody you work with treats you. Like I know people who've existed long enough that they have grandfathered rates for their margins or their shipping costs or things of that nature. Like they have to honor an old contract because the shop never shut down, so the contract is still active. Whereas if you come into it late, you're like, oh, you want free shipping? You have to spend $3,000. And I'm like, if I spend $3,000, my margin comes out to like, with the margin, I make $5,000. And then by the time I pay my employee, by the time I pay my rent, by the time I pay my, Christ, I don't get a salary at this point. Like by the time I do anything, including buying the next batch of product, where did that money go? That's a terrible margin. And so a lot of it is, I think last time I checked, I think it's very easy for it to be 40% margins or less for tabletop stuff. It sounds like a lot until you really crunch the numbers and go, oh no, real estate is expensive. Staffing is expensive. Lights are expensive. Gas to get to work is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like you definitely get like, it's a strange picture to paint because yeah, it kind of sucks because it should be easy because it's a cheap product, but then you need to sell a lot more of it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I even medicated before this talk too to ensure that I didn't run on as bad as I normally would. And my bad.
That's okay. We're approaching Jay Little territory. That's all.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
This is our longest episode to date.
Well, congratulations. Split it. Just cut it into pieces. You get 2 episodes out of it.
It's going to be hard enough to follow in one.
All right. You're probably right.
Look, we're involved. You know.
Hey, I wish you can tell me to shut up anytime. I promise. I'll only just keep talking.
Oh my!
Edit
it like a TikTok Call of Duty edit. Just insert random sound effects periodically. Cut to different pieces of the same content.
Harsh cuts. Yeah, you'd have to. It's weird because like there's more of the problem that I'm running into, right? Like there's more of this that I actually would like to go into detail on. It's exhausting though. It's so much like to talk about the margins of it, to talk about like the allocation of it. That's boring, right? Like it's boring at the end of the day. Like I do it for a living. I want to die, right? It's horrible. I even reading it, when I'm done talking to you and I go look at my accounting, I'm going to scream into the nothing of my existence, right? Talk about it. I love to talk about it, but this will be your least listened to episode ever too. Trust me. They'll be like, damn, he said a lot of numbers. What? So like, you got to jump around a little, keep it weird. But no, like there's minute, like it's like tabletop, right? There's like stupid minutia that is so frustrating about this that you can't even get into because like no one's going to get it unless they do it. But it's hard to explain from an outsider's perspective. I think I did it as close as I could.
No, I think you did well.
But yeah, like it's this. Here's the thing. I've had a friend of mine who started a store. He just opened a store up in Bellevue. God, last week or the week before.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me before he opened. He's like, "What advice would you give?" I was like, "Don't do it. It's the worst decision you will ever make. However, if you are going to do it anyway because you're a certain kind of stupid, you're the best person for the job because of your philosophy on actually doing this stuff." And he took it as a compliment, which he was supposed to. So I'm glad that worked. But it's true. Like this requires a degree of like self-loathing, like heretofore unheard of. Like you do this because you have to do this because you want to build a community. You cannot do this because you want to make money. I think, unless I'm doing it all wrong, which is possible. I mean, I'm not a genius or anything, but like I'm still here. I think that means something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. But yeah, no, I just hope we build a community. That's all. That's one of the things I even talked to Steve about is like community is everything. Like build events, build something that people want to be part of, and then it just kind of like runs itself. I have people who will show up and just start working. You know how weird that is? They'll be like, "Oh, is this in the system yet?" I'll be like, "Yeah." They'll be like, "You want me to start cleaning it?" I was like, "You don't work here." They're like, "Yeah, but we can help. We like it." I'm like, "I'll buy pizza, I guess. Get to work." Like I try not to say it. Like they just do it. I can't even control it. Like I literally had someone come in and was like, "Hey, you have like a leak in your bathroom." They're like, "I tightened it and I cleaned it up." And I'm like, what happened? Well, it's not a problem now. The community is so rad. I don't even get to see a lot of the downsides of it sometimes, or like the downsides I see are strictly like with the major corporation stuff. But yeah, no, it's neat to, I feel bad that I talked too much is all I'm saying as I continue to talk more, especially knowing, God, did you guys get up early for work?
I get up at 4.
I was up at like normal hours, but
I don't go to bed till like 8 in the morning. My wife, so Cheyenne, you've met Cheyenne, I think. Have both of you met my wife?
I have.
I haven't.
Okay. Cheyenne, my wife, she's an RN. She works overnights because she is also a weirdo. And so I'm like, most of our customers don't even come in till after 5. So, and then even my other employee, he is, this isn't, not even disparaging, he's autistic. And so, and there's a neurodivergent tendency to like get more done at like on off hours because it's free of distraction. So I looked at him and was like, "Do you want to come in and we'll push the shifts late?" So I think he comes in now like 2 to midnight, 3 days a week. And then I just work here overnight, and it's just like, because then I'll do all the shipping, do all the bookkeeping, and all of that. And it's wild though. Working at night, just by leaning into my wife's schedule, I got a lot more work done. It's weird, and I don't have to answer my phone during the day. That's the big one. But no, and how do we wrap this up so that I can let you guys actually live your life?
What do you? It's up to you, Steve. Do you still want to do game of the week, or do you want to just wrap into the ending?
You know what? We're at almost 2 hours.
Let's just go right into the ending.
Okay. Yeah, let's just, in interest of time and everything, we'll not do game of the week this week.
I don't even like gaming. That you can make that the joke of it, right? Like, well, he said he hates gaming, so.
Yep. Alex hates games. No game of the week.
No game of the week. Worst gaming guest ever.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Alex, and giving us a fantastic podcast this week, celebrating 150 episodes with us.
150 minutes of nonsense. Happy to help.
As always, links to everything mentioned are in the show notes. We have a Facebook, we have a Discord, we have a Patreon. Give us a like, follow. At the very worst, go to iTunes and give us a rating. It helps get us to other people. So with all that being said, I want to remind everyone to be kind to one another and get out there and play some RPGs.
Yep. Take care, y'all.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at @andrpgs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast. On Discord at Me and Steve RPGs. And as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.
I could have easily talked for another 2 hours. I'm so sorry.
No, it was good. I didn't I should have known better because of the conversations that I have had on multiple occasions.
You've met me. You should know.